Hola y bienvenidos a GCSE Spanish Practice. My name is Marina and this is Pistachio. And today we're going to look at the writing paper for the higher tier, in particular the 150 words, which is worth 25 marks of your writing exam. So let's get started. If you know what we're doing, please just move forward to the question. Otherwise, stay with me. What are we going to do? Define the task. What is this task about? Some reminders about writing. We're gonna work through a model question, and I will then go through what is it that we need to include to access top marks. So there are 25 marks in total that we could get for this task, and 13, 14, 15 are top marks for communication. So that's how much information you are providing. 5 total marks for language, so accurate. The quality of it, the range, the variety, and so on. And 5 for accuracy, so 5 marks for how accurate it is what you've written down. Okay, and finally, well, there's some space for you to work on your own answers. You can pause the video, take a look at the screen and see what the question is. You can work alongside the model text or completely on your own. And if you want to show me what your answer would be, please pop it in the comments and I will take a look at it. Well, things to remember. It says at the top what you are writing about. It is about family. In this case, okay, you always have a choice, but today we're gonna work on a 150 words, no less, about family. And then you have to mention the 2 bullet points, the positive aspects of spending time with family and a recent activity with your family. Okay, so some reminders. Please keep track of timing. So you should be spending at least 30, 35, 40 minutes on this task. You have a choice of 2 tasks. As I said, sometimes what seems the obvious choice, it's not, because then it's trickier somehow, so choose wisely. Draft a plan before you start writing your answer. As soon as you sit down, write down as many structures and reminders on the sheet as possible. Any fancy bits of vocabulary you wish to include that you have learned, please write down. And then, as I said earlier, 150 words is the minimum. Okay, so do not overcomplicate it. Do not go into like writing an essay, 2 sides of a sheet of paper, because you are more likely to make mistakes. Okay, so yes, 150 words minimum. If you write something like 145, that's fine. But anything lower than that, then you will be marked down for the content. So those 13, 14, 15 marks in the top band, it will be more difficult for you to access that. Okay. Then aim to write 7 sentences in Spanish per bullet point. Obviously, if your handwriting is very big, excuse me, and then obviously, you will need more sentences, but just talking about average handwriting size, and then have a final read before moving on to the next task, maybe if this is the first one you do. Okay, so always check your work, and just so that examiners will not read anything that has been crossed out. So anything that you don't want them to read, you can just simply cross out. Likewise, if you want to add something, just make it really clear that where is it that you are adding it, and just write it down as well. Okay, so let's work through a model question. Writing about family, it doesn't matter where, if it's an article or a post or whatever, it doesn't matter. 150 words, and then do this. Now, what I find really tricky is writing 7 lines for spending time with family, just like this. Or I would struggle to write 7 lines about a recent activity with my family. So what I would suggest, and it works for me and my students, is this. Write down 7 whole rats, so 7 sentences, okay, for each of them. And then obviously as a reminder of what we want. So we want opinions, language, development, reasons, accuracy, and tenses. Some people do other things like avocado. And then the 7 is for the 7 sentences that I want, but I would struggle to do that, okay? So what I do is I break down each of the bullet points into 2 ideas that I will develop, okay? So 2 positive aspects of spending time with family. I am going to write 3 positive aspects. So I will write about that and then provide 3 examples. So that could naturally be like one paragraph, one little paragraph here. And then the second bit, recent activity with my family. I will go for a recent activity main idea and then just wrap it up with an idea for next weekend, maybe like one line or two. Okay, because I have to stick to recent activity. Likewise, if you wanted to write a negative aspect here, just to develop, because you run out of ideas, you could do it, but you must say something positive. Okay, right. So let's work on the first bit and the first bullet point, knowing that we have these 2 little fields, these little ideas that we want to develop. So obviously, you could write. You want to go? You want to go? Obviously, you could write a paragraph about the 3 positive aspects and then a paragraph about the examples. But I thought that would be a bit difficult to navigate for an examiner. So what I've done, I added here the 3 positive aspects, and then in these spaces, I will provide an example for each of them. Okay, so for me that worked. Let's start with. Personalmente, pienso que pasar tiempo con la familia es muy importante. Strong start. Personally, I think that spending time with family is very important. And then I'm going to say the reasons. I have primero, segundo, finalmente. So it is really structured. I know what I want to write. In my head, I would write this down here, like this: the first one, the second one, the third one. I would have like a plan. So, primero, la familia es muy importante para mí porque soy joven. Family is very important to me because I am young y necesito a mis padres para vivir, and I need my parents to live. That's obvious. Okay, and then we will move on to the example later. Segundo, la relación con mis padres es muy buena. So second, the relationship with my parents is very good. Y eso me hace feliz, and that makes me happy. And then I will provide an example of what I mean by this. Finalmente, cuando tengo problemas, siempre puedo hablar con mi familia. Finally, when I am in trouble, I can always talk to my family. También con mis hermanos y mis abuelos, also with my siblings and my grandparents. Y me escuchan, me apoyan y me comprenden. Really good vocabulary from GCSE. They listen to me, they support me, and they understand me. Okay. Then I will go on with the examples, but as I said, I think it makes sense to put them one by one together. So the examples, here we go. So I wanted to add to this idea, the first idea. Es normal, pero mis padres tienen una casa donde yo vivo y también comida. Sorry, an E is missing here, okay? Y también comida. So it is normal, so that's a regular thing, okay? But this is necessary for me. My parents have a house where I live. Complexity. I live in that house and they also have food. I need them for that, okay? So it's a positive aspect, I would argue. Then the second idea, remember, that was about my parents making me happy. We have a good relationship. I'm saying, por ejemplo, so providing examples. Cuando tengo un mal día, when I have a bad day, mi padre cocina comida muy rica para mí. My father cooks very good food for me, or very tasty food for me, and that makes me happy. Okay, so that's something that is a good example of how they make me happy. We have a good relationship. When we see me down, they'll do something nice for me. And then finalmente, cuando tengo problemas, siempre puedo hablar con mi familia. When I have a problem or when I am in trouble, I can always talk to my family. También con mis hermanos y mis amigos. And then the example. El año pasado, desafortunadamente, so last year, unfortunately, discutí con mi mejor amiga. I had a fallout, or I argued. I had an argument with my best friend, y mi hermano me ayudó mucho, and my brother helped me a lot through that time. Okay, so you can see how there's an example for each of the positive aspects. Okay, in total, this is like 100 and 11 words is a lot, I know, but it was 7 lines for the examples and 5 lines for the examples. Sorry, 7 lines for the positive aspects and like 6 lines for the examples. It's a lot, but I just want to give you really good quality vocabulary here and structures. Okay, so we cross it out. We've done it. We're happy. And then moving on to a recent activity with your family. So I want to say something that I've done recently. I always want to use this structure because I find it shows that complexity very, very, very easily. Okay, so always say when you do something in the present. Say when I was little, I used to love to infinitive, whatever. However, now I and then something in the present tense, like this. Cuando era pequeña me encantaba ir al parque con mi familia y después hacer un picnic allí. When I was little, I used to love going to the park with my family and afterwards having a picnic there at the park. Sin embargo, ahora soy mayor. However, I am older now y prefiero pasar tiempo con ellos and I prefer to spend time with them de manera diferente, in a different way. Okay, so it's a long introduction, but shows that complexity that we need at this level. Now, what did you do recently? Because that's the point. Me gusta mucho el teatro. I really like theater. Y por eso la semana pasada fuimos a Londres y vimos un musical que fue fantástico. A ver, let's unpick this. So, I really like theater, and for that reason, last week we went to London and we saw a musical which was fantastic. Okay, so there's a variety of the past tense. I always say like 3 is the magic number, so 3 examples of the past tense here. And then obviously adding the que fue fantástico. Links, vimos un musical que fue fantástico, and that is complexity as well. Okay, and then lastly, I just like to wrap this up. I want to say what I want to do next weekend with my family. Para el fin de semana próximo, so for next weekend, no tenemos planes. We don't have any plans. Pero mi hermana quisiera ir al zoo. My sister wishes we could go to the zoo, or she could go to the zoo. So advanced way of saying she would like, quisiera, or I would like, quisiera, ¿vale? So instead of saying me gustaría or le gustaría, we can say quisiera for I form and for he or she form. So good to use. She would like to go to the zoo. Why? Porque le encantan los animales, because she loves animals. Okay. And that would be it. Now, in total, this part is 73 words. You can see there's a little imbalance between the first bit and the second bit of your piece of writing. But as long as everything has been covered, that is fine. Okay. So what is it that we have to include to access top marks? Now, first of all, for content, you're going to need to cover both bullet points. Okay, has been done here. At least 150 words. Yes, we have 184. We are not counting, and markers will continue marking. What you say is clear. Well, it is here. Okay, and I think that having the reason, the example, the reason, the example makes it quite clear. And then the language is obviously very clear because this is a model text. And ideas are consistently developed. Yes, they are. And I explained how they were developed as we were looking at the text. Language. Avoid using repetition to keep the old rat happy. Yes. I have highlighted here the bits that are complex sentences and the tenses, okay? So I think that plus infinitive is a good example of complexity. Providing a list, primero, segundo, finalmente, something is quite articulate, that's very good. The other bits of complexity here come from putting the past tense and then alongside the present tense, like this. Cuando era pequeña me encantaba ir, sin embargo ahora soy, prefiero, so past tense, and also the future, that's that contrast. We have linking words like donde here to put two sentences together. So my parents have a house where I live. We could have said my parents have a house. I live at my parents' house, but instead we put donde here, and then we link them together and we make the text flow. It is the same with other examples that I put here. Vimos un musical que fue fantástico. We could have said, vimos un musical, period. El musical fue fantástico. But instead, we can link them with que, which was fantastic. Okay? So we have all sorts of vocabulary, the tenses as a past here, different examples, the future, lots of complex structures. When I something, then something, okay? GCSE vocabulary. So that's all very good. And then obviously, finally, we have a final check, and we check for accuracy, in particular spelling and verbs. Okay, are verbs well formed? Yes, they are. All right, so that keeps the old rat happy, and hopefully your examiners as well. And that's it pretty much. So you could work on your own answers. Just remember, this is the way I thought I would break down the first paragraph, but you don't have to do it the same way. But I think this works for most people. Okay, so if you're happy, you can work on this, or you can check out some more videos on writing, listening, dictation, read aloud, role play, photo description, whatever helps you. Adiós y muchas gracias.